we're going to be unboxing God for a little bit today. It's going to be fun. We seem to, as humans, like things in order. We like to categorize. We like to compare. And a lot of times we put God in this nice, neat, little packaged box. It has to be a shiny box, a perfect box, a box with just that right bow on it. It may be the God that we pray to, expecting things to get fixed like that when we keep God contained like that in that box. But actually, we can't fully contain, we can't fully categorize and fit God into a box. Because if we try to contain it, it's going to burst open. It's going to look more like what happens if you leave your husky alone home for many hours with a box. It shall be shredded. And I love that aspect of God because it's just so big. He's just so big. She's just so big. They're just so big that we can't contain it. We can try to understand it. And I think as hard as we try, and the different ways that I'll present today is a good peek into it. But I know that if I talk to each one of you, you're going to have a different perspective as well. And that's an unboxed God right there. So picking up this pieces from the wonderful husky who shredded some stuff up for me. This is from the Revealing Word, so it's some quotes from Charles Fillmore. Charles Fillmore is the founder of the Unity Movement, Unity Church. Being God, the mind of the universe composes of archetype ideas: life, love, wisdom, abundance, truth, power, peace, and so forth. Being is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. It is the fullness of God, the all good. And as I was reflecting on this, I discovered that it's invisible, divine idea, intuition, things that aren't tangible, and it's visible, nature, human expression of the divine. And just that in itself, it leaves me in awe and wonder. God as principle, not principal like of a school, but principle, law, rule. It's the energetic source that moves through everything. A lot of times we call that source spirit. A lot of times we may feel it when you get those goosebumps. And I've told you guys before that my grandmother would call those, "Oh, honey, those are God bumps. Those aren't goosebumps." God as principle is the basis of universal laws that you might be familiar with, that you might have heard, like the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, soul evolution, law of action, synchronicity. God is all part of that interconnected web, that movement. You may hear us speak of divine mind as God. It is this big connected web that connects everything, everyone, every thought together. God is greater than the out there. And God is within us and outward as well. In my studies, I've come across this wonderful article on the three faces of God. And this is from the concept from Ken Wilber. And so there are three faces. One is the inner face. We are the light of the world, and I'm going down to up. It is divine expression. It is how we express outwardly as our God expression. Number 2 is the intimate, the relational. This is the God is always with us. This is that moment when you are praying for what you affirm to be true, and things just align because humans or nature or whatever heeds the call and comes forth. And then there's the infinite God, the God that which we move and breathe and have our being. In the meditation, I took you out as far as your senses could take you and brought you in. I tried to get you to experience all 3 of those faces within a meditation. And it's important that we see all 3 of these, because I think when you leave one of these out, then you only get a more partial description of God than we already have, because it's bigger than we can imagine. But when we don't look at like these 3, then things happen. If we are too much into the we are the light of the world and we let our ego get in the way, to where you think you are the God, that's not such a good thing. If you get so much into the intimate, then we lose sight of the power that we do have within us. So there's this balance needed between the 2. And then when we are out of balance with the infinite, we miss the connection between God and self. Our unity principle number 1 shares with us, and there's 2, I see several translations of this one principle. So I'll read both of them to you. The one in my notes is, there is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God, the good, omnipotent. Another one is, God is everywhere and always present in every circumstance. The divine energy underlies and animates all of existence. And you can see this in there's an insert in your bulletin, full of goodies for you guys. God is, for me, it's all things eternal. Love, faith, peace, joy, harmony. And this week it was interesting as we ran some posts on Facebook, and I was looking through the comments. And I want to address one of the comments because I'm talking about God this week, and the question on the picture that the person sent back was a picture of fires and said, "Where is God?" Good question, right? So for me, God is not the fire. Fires are temporary. Even though these seem to be lasting a long time, they're temporary. But what is permanent is, and it all starts from our individual selves. Because I can probably guess that everybody who's watching prayed for people that were experiencing the fires in California. Like, that's a fair, safe assumption to make. That's God. Because what you're doing is you're awakening, you're empowering. Last Sunday, I led us in a meditation where we sent that energy. We couldn't be there putting out the fires, but we could send energy to that one firefighter that's like, it's hot, I'm tired, I haven't eaten, I'm exhausted, I don't have energy. And they carried on. It is the knowing that we set forth in, we want all resources available to come. And I looked through news feeds and I saw neighboring states, neighboring countries, Canada and Mexico, and people from across the pond, as I like to say. People not even connected with our immediate continent came. That is the movement of the divine. That is God in action. That is what we know to be true. We created this essence of law of attraction. And we see this continuing to unfold. People have lost houses. People have lost lives. People have lost more than they care to lose. And as hard as it is, it's temporary. And there is the hope and the joy that resources has come together. As I'm driving, stopping like this morning at Starbucks, there was a sign in the window that said, if you would like to make a donation to the Red Cross, there was a QR code to scan. And you can do that. And so this accumulation of coming together of this divine love, this no matter what kind of love, because we don't care if the person believes different than we do that lost their house. We don't care if the person votes differently than we do that lost their house. We care that someone is in despair and we want to help. And that calling, that desire to want to help is the very essence of God in us. So I've given you guys, I always do some spiritual exploration. Give you a little bit of homework. And the questions just flowed for me this week. I'm sorry, y'all. I do them all or pick two. Spirit was on a roll. So for your spiritual exploration, I want you to either explore the following either in a journal or find a creative expression that might reflect your reflections. Where do I see God within me? How do I show up as divine expression? Where do I see God in others? How do God and I relate to one another? When God speaks, how does that present for me? How do I see God in the all in all? Find 5 occasions this week where you've experienced God. I would imagine that you can probably come up with more than 5. But 5. Because I could come up with however many people are in here right now. That's a lot. So with that, we want to do our affirmation. I told you guys last week that I picked a word for us for our white stone for the year, and our word is transform. So I want to keep doing this every week. So what we do is we say this 3 times together, and we tend to get more enthusiastic as we go. In God's infinite abundance, we co-create and transform. In God's infinite abundance, we co-create and transform. I forgot my S. In God's infinite abundance, we co-create and transform. So it is, and so we let it be. Shine on, y'all.